trying to not get the squeaky board. Tis not possible in this freaking office. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with all the series that I'm reading. So I've seen many booktubers do this video, and I actually did kind of like an updated series where I'm at like 2 years ago, like the beginning of 2020 before the world went crazy. So I'll link it above if you'd like to check that out. It's not good. I hadn't started using a mic yet, and it was an old phone, and I don't know what my eyebrows are, but like anyway, if you'd like to check it out, I'll leave it linked above. But I thought it'd been a good amount of time since I did kind of just like a general series update, and I thought, why not do it today? So the last video that you saw would have been all the series that I decided to DNF. I'll leave that linked above or down below if you'd like to check it out. So we're not going to be talking about any of those in this video, obviously, but this video will be split up into 3 separate categories. So we've got the book series that since the last video I have finished and they're done. I've read them all. They're complete as far as the author is concerned, so I've read all of those books. There's not quite that many in that list. And then the second category is going to be the books that I am up to date on. So the series is not complete, but I am up to date as far as what is currently published as of the middle of February 2022. And then the last category is going to be the ones that I'm not caught up on, and obviously that is the biggest category here today. So these are both series that either are completely published and I'm just not up to date. They could still be in the process and I just have at least one more book that is currently published as of right now. So somewhere in there, I'm not done. I'm not done with what's currently out in the public right now. So let's get into it. Let's start with the ones that I have completed. These are literally in no particular order except for how I looked them up via that video and the Goodreads. So here we are. But the first series that I have completed is the School for Good and Evil series. So there are 6 out in this series, and I finished them all. I finished them, I believe, last year in 2021, if I am correct. So yeah, I've officially completed this entire series, and it was a long series, but I loved it. So yeah. The next series that I have completed is the Serpent and Dove trilogy. So the last one came out last fall, and I did end up reading it last year as well. So yeah, I have completed this. I do believe there is a spin-off series the author just announced following one of the characters in this series. I believe we're following Coco. But I'm counting that as like a separate series. So this one I've completely finished all 3 of. I feel very accomplished. The next one that I have completed is the Lady Janie's series by the Lady Janie's. Actually, I think the series is just called The Janes. And it's these 3, which is my Lady Jane, my Plain Jane, and my Calamity Jane. So this series is completely done. The last one I read sometime last year. So yeah, I've completely finished this one as well. And the last one that is on this list as far as completed is the Heart of Iron duology by Ashley Poston. So we have Heart of Iron and Solar Stars. This is just these 2 books, and I did finish Solar Stars last year sometime. Alright, moving on to the section of books that I am caught up on as far as what is currently published. The first one is the Mary series by the Lady Janie. So we have My Contrary Mary. This is the first of 3. The second one is coming out this year, and the third one I believe is coming out next year. But as far as what is currently published, I have read this one and I am up to date. So the next one I think is good for this category. Technically on Goodreads there's one more in this series, but there's no name, there's no date, like there's literally no information about it. But that is the Bells series by Danielle Clayton. So we have The Bells and The Everlasting Rose. I have read both of these, and I do feel like the second one ended pretty well. I mean, the epilogue I feel like is kind of what left it open-ended to possibly have a next step, but honestly, like, I felt like it ended, so that's where I'm kind of like not sure. Technically Goodreads says there's one more, so there may be one more. I don't know if I will continue with it. I think it'll depend when we get any kind of information on it, but technically I am up to date on this one. So the next one is one that I did actually mention in that video I did a couple of years ago, and I have no new updates except for the possibility we may be getting a new edition this year, and that is the Saga series. So these are volumes 1 through 9, and there have been stirrings that these authors and artists are going to come out with a new volume this year. I feel like I saw on Goodreads that that was the case. I am hesitant on that information, but I am up to date in this one, and I just wanted to mention that because I think we might be getting a new one this year, but I'm not sure. So if you know better, let me know if I'm wrong or right. So the next one is going to be a surprise because I read these earlier this month. And haven't told you guys about them yet, so stay tuned for a wrap-up. And that is the Rajays series by Sonali Dev. We've got Pride and Prejudice and Other Flavors, Recipe for Persuasion, and then we also have Incense and Sensibility. This is a series that has one more coming out this year called The Emma Project, and this is a series that follows an Indian-American family called the Rajays, and each romance is a different person in this family, and they all are somehow based on a Jane Austen book, so obviously Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion, and Sense and Sensibility, and the new one coming out is Emma. So I'm officially up to date on all of these. Cannot wait for the new one to come out. But yeah, surprise! The next one is iffy, but I'm counting the printed one, and that is Lore Olympus by Rachel Smith. This is the first volume. This is the first 50 episodes of this graphic series comic. She has published them online, so there are many, many more than 50 on the internet, but I'm counting this as far as like physically published because volume 2 is coming out this year and I'm reading them as they're being physically published rather than reading them online. So that's why I'm counting me being up to date on this one. The next series that I'm currently up to date on is the ACOTAR series. So out of the 4.5 books that have been published, I have read all of them. There are at least 2 more in this kind of like second half of the series that are planned. No dates or names or anything yet, but I am up to date as far as what is physically published. That is just very satisfying, that stack. The next one that I'm up to date on is one that I don't actually own, and that is the Duke Undone series by Joanna Lowell. The first and second in the series have come out. The second one came out earlier this year in January, and after I was lucky enough to get an ARC and was about to put my review on Goodreads, I noticed there's a third one coming out in this series next year, and I just really like these characters. So I have read the first 2 in the series. I am up to date on this one as far as what is published, but there is still one more. And I'm excited about it. I don't even know what it's about. Do we have a name? We might have a name. I'm not even sure, but I'm excited. The next one is very, very similar to Lore Olympus, and that is the Heartstopper series. So I have the first 4 volumes here. I've read them all, and according to the back of the 4th volume, there's only one more that is coming out, and it is coming out sometime this year. So I am up to date as what is being physically published. This was also a webcomic, so I'm assuming that if the 5th one's about to come out, that Alice Oseman has finished the online comic if you're reading it online before now, so it's probably finished for sure. But as far as like printed, there's still one more, so I'm counting it up to date, just like Lore Olympus, because I'm counting the printed version. But yeah, one more. I'm not ready to say goodbye. The next one that I am up to date on as far as what is published is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So you have The Inheritance Games and The Hawthorne Legacy. There is a third one coming out later in the fall that I believe is called The Final Gambit. So yeah, I'm up to date on those, which is very exciting. I never thought I would actually get these both done before the third one came out, but I did. The next one that I'm up to date on is the Girl Meets Duke series by Tessa Dare. So we have The Duchess Deal, The Governess Game, and The Wallflower Wager. So there is one more coming out in this, and I can see the cover, but I can't remember the name. I'll plop it here. But it's the 4th one in this group of 4 friends, and it's not coming out until 2024, so we have a little bit of time before that one. But I adore. This is my favorite series by Tessa Dare. Now, granted, I've only read this one and part of 2 others, but as of right now, 'tis my favorite. I am up to date on this series, and she's still writing, and it just makes me very happy that I'm up to date on a historical fiction, or like a historical romance series that's not complete. I'm just, this makes me happy. But yeah, I love this series, and It's gonna be a tough 2 years. It's gonna be a tough 2 years. The next one that I'm up to date on is the Jane Austen murder mystery series by Tirzah Price. This one being Pride and Premeditation. There's going to be 3 in this series in total, and the second one, Sense and Second Degree Murder, comes out this year. I'm trying to remember which month and now I've forgotten, but it's this year, and then the third one will come out next year. But I read this one last fall, and literally, I mean, I had no one to rave about this with, so it's all bottled up still in here. The next one that I'm up to date on is A League of Extraordinary Women by Levy Dunmore. We've got Bringing Down the Duke, A Rogue of One's Own, and Portrait of a Scotsman. The fourth one in this one should be coming out this September, and it's called The Gentleman's Gambit. And this, just like the Tessa Dare books, is a friend group, and it's 4 women, and each of these stories is their respective romance. We have 1 left, and I'm very excited about it because I have loved this series. So yeah, I cannot wait for when this one comes out. There's no set date yet, but it is just kind of generally September this year. So hopefully it won't get pushed back. We'll see, but I'm up to date so far. So the next one, I debated putting on this list at all because I'm not sure if we're ever going to get a third one, but that is the Montgomery and Armstrong series by Maya Banks. The first 2 in this have been out for a long time. The first one being Never Seduce Scott, which is literally, at this point, my favorite, if not top like 3 historical romances of all time. I seriously love this book. The third one is supposed to come out, I think it was supposed to come out like last year, and then it was supposed to come out in 2024, but I know that the author's health is declining, so it's not guaranteed that we'll ever get this one, unfortunately. But I did want to put it on this list because technically Goodreads still says there's still 1 more in this series. The next one that I'm up to date on is the Malice Duology by Heather Walter. So this is the first one in the series that I read sometime, I think, last year. The second one, which is called Misrule, is coming out later this year. I did really enjoy this first one, and I'm curious to see where we're going from here. This is kind of like a Sleeping Beauty retelling, but like with a sapphic twist, because like our main character, who is like the Maleficent character, and the Sleeping Beauty character have a connection, and this ended on quite a plot twist, quite a cliffhanger, so I can't wait to dive into the second one. But yes, I am up to date as far as right now. Another one I'm up to date as far as right now is Regency Vows series by Martha Waters. We have To Have and To Hoax and To Love and To Loathe. And the third one that's coming out later this year is To Marry and To Meddle. And it basically follows these 3 friends and their respective romances. This is just fun, bantery goodness, honestly. I love this series. I think it's great, and I'm excited to see how it concludes. The next one I also debated on putting on this list because I am not sure I want to continue, but we'll see, and that is the American Royals series by Catherine McGee. We've got American Royals and Majesty, and there is a third one that's coming out this year. I thought it was just going to be a duology because there was no mention of there being a third one, and then all of a sudden I just started seeing it places. I mean, I felt like this was fine. I'm not sure. I think I'll have to get closer to when it comes out, and maybe I'll pick it up because I do like these characters and I'd like to see where we continue from here. But I am technically up to date as far as what is out right now. I'm just not sure I want to continue. We'll see once I get more information. The last one in this kind of like up-to-date series is The Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. So this is just a fun fake dating, almost hate to love, not quite, romance between 2 very British men, and I love it so much. And the second one in this series is coming out later this year. It's called Husband Material. I'm so excited. So yeah, I read this one relatively soon, I want to say after it came out, and I literally stumbled upon the fact that there's a sequel. So excited. But yes, I am up to date on this one as well. Okay, starting out the section of books that I still have to pick up, like there's still some for me to pick up, is the Missing series by Margaret Patterson Haddix. There are 8 in this series. I have the last 2 in this series. So we have Revealed and Redeemed, and I want to get to them because I know that the big reveal of this entire series is coming. So I definitely want to read at least the 7th one to get to that point, and I've already like given so much time to it, so of course I want to finish the series. I just don't know when that's gonna happen. I kind of have to be in the mood for this because the main character I find kind of annoying if I'm in the wrong mood. So I'm still really excited about the series. It's still just fun sci-fi twistiness all over the place, which has been a lot of fun. But yeah, so I still technically only have 2 left, but the fact that this is an 8-book series and I have 2 left pretty proud of myself, I'm not gonna lie. So I forgot to grab this series from downstairs, so we're gonna hold the pretty version, and that is The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I still want to get through this. There are, what, 7? Yeah, 7 or 8, I think, in this series, and I am up to 4. I have read Prince Caspian, so there are at least 3 or 4 more. I'm trying to remember. There are 3 more. So we've got The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which there was a movie based on that, so I do kind of know what I'm getting into with that one. And then there's 2 more that I don't know anything about. So they're fun, really easy, quick ones to get through. They're really good for, like, readathons and middle grade readathons and things like that. I just honestly forget about them half the time. Apparently this is all the middle grade. So the next one is the Peter and the Starcatchers book. I'm holding up a dust jacket because one of our friends is borrowing it. And this is a 5-book series that's kind of loosely based on Peter Pan. So I've read the first one and, where is it, the second one. So there are 3 more. We've got Peter and the Secrets of Rundoon, and then Peter and the Sword of Mercy, which my husband is actually currently reading. And then there's a 5th one that it's like it's part of the series but not, so I'm not sure how I feel about that one. We'll see if I get around to it, but if I finish these 4 I'll be happy. But I am 2 in, and they're really easy. Despite the size, they're really easy to get through. I just have to make the time for them, and I haven't done that yet. So the next one is the Tudor / Plantagenet series that Philippa Gregory writes. They're all literally up there. There are 15 total, and I've read all but 4, so what's that, 11? Math. And I've really enjoyed them. So I've been reading them in the way that she suggests that you read them. It's like historical order, because they're all like all over the place as far as like when she published them. So I'm reading them historically from like Plantagenet to Tudor England. So the next one I need to pick up is Taming, what is this one? The Taming of the Queen. And then we do have The Virgin's Lover. And then we've got The Last Tudor and The Other Queen. So this one falls, we're now falling into the children of Henry VIII. So Elizabeth, that kind of era. I know this one follows, this is the last book that follows one of his wives. This one's the last one, and then we're now into like the Elizabethan kind of era. But yeah, I've only got 4 left, which honestly makes me feel very accomplished at this point. Like, I thought I was gonna have way more, and then when I went to grab them, I realized I only had these 4. So like, that makes me very happy. But I've loved them. I love how deep she dives into the history. But yeah, I mean, considering I think I started this series right about close to when I started BookTube, pretty proud, because these are some thick and dense books. The next one is the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. So the first one being, I think, The Trials of Morgan Crow. I read the first 2 in this series. The third one came out, I believe, in 2020. I think. And then according to Goodreads, there's at least 1 more planned. I know that like when she first started the series, I was hearing rumors that she was planning on like a 7-book series. So I don't expect this to be done anytime soon, but I have at least 1 more book that has been published that I haven't read yet, which is Hollowpox. And then I think the 4th one is coming out this year. The next one is one that is on this list for literally the next week, and then I'll move it up to date. And that is the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas, because as of recording this, the sequel came out yesterday and I have it. Isn't it pretty? It's thick, but it's pretty. So I'm planning on reading this one actually the week after you guys see this video, with one of my friends who is like my Sarah J. Maas lady. Like we talk about Sarah J. Maas all the time. So I am not up to date as of right now, but I will be very soon. But technically, as of recording this, I'm not. So I wanted to put it on here. And this was my like most literally top of my anticipated releases of the year, especially after reading this one and falling in love. So it's so pretty. It's so, anyway, I'm not going to gush in this video too much, but yes, technically not up to date, but I will be very soon. Do you see how big that is? It's crazy. The next one is the Pinch of Magic series by Michelle Harrison. So as of recording this, the 4th one in this one literally came out earlier this month, I want to say. So I have read the first 2. I did read A Sprinkle of Sorcery earlier this month. So I have A Tangle of Spells that I need to read, and then the new book, which was A Storm of Sisters. So I'm halfway through this series. This next one is weird because there's a lot to it, and that is the Spindle Cove series by Tessa Dare. So technically there are 5 books. I have this one separated because it's the 5th in this series, but also the 4th and like the a different series by her, so it's weird. But there's also like a bunch of novellas within this one too. So I will get to this one, probably finish this in the next few months, because this is the series that I'm currently buddy reading with my friends. So I've read the first 3, and there is a novella after this one that actually, as of recording this, we're starting today, and there was a Christmas novella that comes after the first one, and I believe there are 2 more novellas beyond these 2, so at least 2, maybe 3 months more of this series. I'm not sure how long, depending on when we get to the actual novellas, but I'm well over halfway through this series. The next one is a very long manga series, and that is Dreaming Sun. Oh my goodness, can you see how I am struggling? So I am currently, as of recording this one, I have read the first 6. So I only have 4 left, and again, over halfway, very proud of that. I can finish this by the end of the year. It's just whether or not I make time to do so, but I think if I prioritize it, I could do it. So the next series that I am not done all the way, but I'm so freaking close, you guys, is I'm literally dropping them. It's the Bridgerton series. Look at that. I have 1 left. I literally just need to pick up the last book, which is On the Way to the Wedding, which is Gregory's story. And I have a bookmark in here because I'm hoping to get to it this month. I don't think I will, but I will definitely get to it at the beginning of March because I really want to finish this series. I know this world is not over, but the official 8-book Bridgerton series is almost over. I have 1 left. It's gonna be done. I'm gonna finish it this year, dagummit. Next one is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. So this is a duology, so I only have 1 more left to read in this book, or in this series. So I read this one last month and enjoyed most of it. There are parts that I didn't enjoy. So I think I will continue and read the next one. It's just, again, not top of TBR for me. I will get to it at some point. It just kind of depends on the when. The next one is one that I started last month. And, surprise, I now own all 4 of the Wallflower series by Lisa Kleypas. So I actually read the 3rd one, which was Devil and Winter. Really enjoyed it. And so I've got all 4 here. They're all based on a different season. So we have Secrets of a Summer Night, then we have It Happened One Autumn, and the last one is Scandal in Spring. And this is the one that I'm the most interested in based on what happened in the 3rd book. So I'm not sure if I'll read these in order or if I'll just pick them up whenever I feel like it. But yes, I do want to read these. So the next one is the Book of Scandal series by Julia London. I read the first one a few months ago, and that's the Book of Scandal. And then we've got Highland Scandal and a Courtesan's Scandal. So these all follow different characters in this world. The first one definitely sets up the character who goes to Scotland in the second one. So I'm curious to see where we go from here. I had mostly enjoyed the first one. I had some iffy moments with the first one where I was like not in love with some of our characters' decisions. I want to continue. I want to give this author another chance. It might just be that character that bothered me, and I don't think that character is going to continue in the series. And if he does, it'll just be like quick, like here to help the plot move and then disappear. So I'm very curious to see where this series continues, and I did enjoy the first one. It was just little bits that I wasn't in love with, so I don't have, again, immediate plans to pick this up, but I do plan on picking this up at some point. The next one is the 13 Treasures series by Michelle Harrison. So this is actually a 3-book series that I just found out has a prequel of sorts. So I did actually just pick this one up. So as of right now, I have been buddy reading these with my friend Teresa. So we read the first 2. So as of right now, we need to finish the trilogy, and then I think we're also possibly going to buddy read the prequel as well. So technically halfway through this series. I have really enjoyed it. I think it's very interesting what she has done with this series. But yeah, so halfway through this series, but I think we're going to pick this one up soon, and I think we could finish this year. The next one is the Greystone Secrets series by Margaret Patterson Haddix. This first one is called The Strangers. I know as of recording this, there is at least 1 more out. I think there's a 3rd one, but I don't remember if it comes out this year or not, or if it's already out. I know for sure there's at least 1 more that's out, and I think there's only 3 at this point. But I adored this first book. I thought it was so good. So I need to get my hands on the second one, honestly. Next one is the Witch Hat Atelier series. So I only own the first 2 volumes, and I have read both of these, but according to Goodreads, there's at least 9 out, and I think a 10th one that is on its way this year sometime. I don't know if there's going to be any more beyond that, but there's at least 10 planned at this point. So I need to pick up some more. I need to continue. I just haven't done it yet. But yeah, there's a lot in the series. I'm making my way slowly. I'm enjoying it as I'm going. The next manga series I need to read is the very long title, and that is If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat a Demon Lord. Now, I have the first 2 volumes. I read the first one. I just picked up the second one not too long ago, and according to Goodreads, very similar to Witch Hat. I think there are 7 planned, but the 7th one is coming out this year, and I'm not sure if that's it or if there's any more. So I need to find them. I can't find them in any store, so I have to buy them online, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. I just have to actually do it. So yes, I bought the second one because I loved the first one so much, and there's many more in this series to go, but they're really short. Like, they're relatively short for mangas, so I can get through these no problem. The next one is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I read the first one last year and really enjoyed it, and I know that there are 4 out right now, and then like some novellas, I think. And there's, I believe, at least 2, maybe 3 more planned. I am hesitant to continue, not because I didn't love it. I adored the first book. I thought it was so good. I am hesitant because there's still so much left in the series. So those of you who've read it, let me know, because I've heard that like the first 3 is like a series, and then the 4th one that just came out is like a bridge between the first half of the series and the second half of the series. So let me know if it's like I can read the first 4 and then pause and wait until the other 3 come out, or if I should just wait and then binge them all, because I think that's what I need to do. That's what I did with the ACOTAR series. I didn't start it until all of them were out, and I really enjoyed being able to like binge them back to back. So I kind of want to do that with the Bone Season. So let me know. But I've only read the first one, and there's like 7 in this series, so I have lots of waiting time. The next one is the Otherworld series by Emma Hamm. I read the first one in this, which I believe was Heart of Fae. I read it in that Booktube Made Me episode 1, and I definitely want to continue. There's at least 6 or 7 in this series, but the first 2 are the same story, and then from then on it's like companion series or companion novels that just happen to take place in the same world, whereas the first one is quite literally the same story cut in half. So I need to continue with this, even if it's just 1 or 2 more. It just kind of depends how I'm feeling, but I did really enjoy the first one, so I definitely want to continue at least 1 or 2 more. The next one is the Frostheart series by Jamie Littler. I have read the first one in the series, so I have the second 2 to go, which is Escape from Aurora and Rise of the World Eater. I've noticed that I think I need to be in the right mind for these, so I want to get around to these, but I'm not sure when that's going to be. I know that like Gavin absolutely adores the series, and I think I put too much hype on myself for the first book because I liked it just fine, but it was generally just kind of okay. So I'd like to continue, give it my all, don't stop halfway through like I did the first time. Give it like 2 months in between reading the first and the second half, because that is what I did with this one. But this is a completed series, so like this is it. I only have 2 more in this series, so I will get around to them. I just don't know when. The next one is the Ravens series by Cass Morgan and Daniel Page. This is a duology. The second one just came out earlier in January. I have my copy now, and I'm so excited. I'm definitely going to wait until the fall to read this one because I enjoyed this one so much during the fall. But this is it. I just need to read 1 more, and then I'll be done. So it's this fun duology about witches and sororities, and it was awesome. So I'm very excited to get to the second one. But like I said, I think I'm going to wait until the fall to read it just because it felt like the right time to read the first one, and I feel like that's going to be the same with the second one. The next one, I'm not holding up the entire series, but it's the Mallory and Anderson is technically what it's called, but it's the Mallory series, and it just follows this family, and there are 12 in the series, and I have all but 1, and I've read 2. I've read the second one, and I've read the 6th one, which is a Christmas one, so I need to dive into more of these for sure, but I'm going to take my time with them. I'm not too worried about them. So the next one is the Castles Ever After series by Tessa Dare. This is a 4-book companion series, and I've only read the 3rd one, which is When a Scot Ties a Knot. This is kind of like, these don't really have anything to do with each other from what I can tell. It just takes place in castles. So I've read two. I have read two. I've read Romance in the Duke as well. Actually, this was my very first Tessa Dare book. So we have Say Yes to the Marquis, and then we also have this one, which was the 5th in the Spindle Cove series, and the 4th in this one. So I am buddy reading these with my friends, so I will read all 3 of these again, but as of right now, I technically only have 2 that I haven't read yet, so halfway done with this one as well. The next one is the Dimple and Rishi series. I like to call them the Dimpleverse, even though that's not technically the title name, like, of the series, it's just like the universe. But I've read 2 out of the 3. So I've read, obviously, When Dimple Met Rishi. I read that a few years ago. What started my craze for Sendai Minute. And then last year I read 10 Things I Hate About Pinky. So I would like to read There's Something About Sweetie, just because I love Sendai Minute and I would love to, like, have completely read all of her books. I'm a little hesitant because I've noticed that high school, like YA romances specifically set in high school, are not as much my thing anymore, but I do plan to read this at some point. I just don't know when, but technically as of right now, there's only 1 more left in this series. Alright, the next one is the Entangled with Fae series by Tessonia Odette. There are 3 right now. I'm not sure if there's any more planned in this series, but these are basically all taking place in the same world. They're all totally different standalone books. They just take place in the same world, and they're all based on fairy tales. So I've read the first one, which is Curse of a Wolf King, which is based on Beauty and the Beast, but I have Heart of a Raven Prince, which is based on Cinderella, and the newest one, which is Kiss of a Selkie, which is based on Little Mermaid. So I have 2 out of these 3 left. I really enjoyed Curse of the Wolf King. I thought it was quite good. It was very good, like, new adult kind of romance. So I'm very excited to continue with the series. The next one is the Dark Olympus series, the first one in this one being Neon Gods. This is by Katie Robert. As of right now, I'm behind by 1 book. I've read the first one, and the second one, Electric Idol, I've talked about a lot on this channel, as well as, like, it being like an anticipated release of the year, as well as the 3rd one in the series, which comes out later in August is in my head for some reason, so like later in the fall, I think. And then I'm not sure if there's anything beyond that. I think she has a couple in her brain, but I don't think anything's planned at this point. But I have the first one read, and I have the second one on my Kindle, so I just need to get to that one at some point, hopefully soon. But yeah, I'm only 1 book behind right now. The next one is the Cursebreakers series by Bridget Kimmerer. I've read the first one, which is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. There's only 3 in the series, so we also have A Heart So Fierce and Broken and A Vow So Bold and Deadly. I do need to read those 2 as well. I really enjoyed the first one. I immediately, like, went out and bought the second 2, and then I haven't done anything with them, so I'd love to actually get around to these 2. I know her newest book, Defy the Night, which came out last year, end of last year, I think, is set in this world, but I'm not sure if it's directly connected to these books, but these being first, I want to finish them before I start that one. The next one is the Wayward Children's series by Shannon McGuire. There are, what, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there are 7 out right now. As of filming this, I have not read the most recent one, which is Where the Drowned Girls Go, but I do plan on reading this before the month is over, so have, like, immediate plans in like a week to read this one. So this one will not be on this list for long, but I have read the rest of them, and it is quite a series, and I think there's still going to be at least a couple more. I'm not sure on that yet, but I don't expect to see anything new in the series until the beginning of next year at the earliest, but I still technically, as of filming, have 1 left that I still need to read. The next one is very similar to the Entangled with Fae series, and that is the Married to Magic series by Elise Kova. I have read the first one, which is A Deal with the Elf King. I have not yet read A Dance with the Fae Prince, and then there is a 3rd one coming out this year, and I'm not sure if there's going to be any more beyond that, but I still technically have to finish 1 more. The next one is the Spy Family manga series by Tatsuya Endo. I always get these names messed up. I only have the first one, and I've only read the first one. As of Goodreads, I believe there are 9 out. I'm not sure if there's any more planned, and I can't remember if the 9th one is not out yet and is planning to be out, but there's at least 9 that are circling, and I've only read the first one, so I need to get on this one. The next one is the Forest of Good and Evil series by Jenna Showalter, the first one being The Evil Queen. There is technically a second one in this world. It follows totally different characters. Well, that's not true. One of the characters, the main male lead, is actually in this book, so it's like a companion sequel and takes place after the events of this one. I haven't decided if I want to read it yet. I think I do, because I enjoyed this one quite a lot, and I really do like her writing. It's very kind of like more new adult than YA at this point, but I don't have any immediate plans to pick it up, but I do want to because it's kind of like a Cinderella reimagining, just a little bit. The next one is one I don't own, and that is the Strange the Dreamer duology. I did read the first one for a secret TBR that I did, like a themed TBR that I did last year. I think it was Reading Hyped Books. And I really enjoyed that one, so I'd like to get around to the sequel of this at some point. No immediate plans at the moment, but would love to give it a chance because I did really enjoy the first one, and I'd like to know where it goes because it ended dramatically. The next is the Reluctant Royals series by Alyssa Cole. So I've read the first 2 books, which is A Princess in Theory and A Duke by Default. And then there are 2 novellas and 1 more book. I have read the first novella, which is Once Ghosted, Twice Shy. So I have 1 novel and 1 novella left in the series. And they're really fun contemporary romances that have a sort of royalty twist to them in some way. So I really have enjoyed the 2 that I've read in this series, or the 2.5 that I've read in the series. I just need to get around to the last 2, but I'm over halfway. The next one is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I've read the first one, which is the 5th season, and I have the last 2, which is the Obelisk Gate and the Stone Sky. I've heard mixed reviews. Like, people who love the first one say the rest of the series is just kind of okay, especially the second one. So I have been putting off picking it up. Also, it's been a while since the first one, and I'm afraid I'm going to forget the world because the first one was so confusing to begin with, and I also didn't realize there was a glossary in the back until well over halfway into the book, but I do want to get to them because I've heard great things about this series. The next one is the graphic novel series Emma. So I have the first 3. I've only read the first one, but it's like a 10 episode or like 10 volume series. I am having the issue where I need to reread the first one, but I don't want to reread the first one until I have the rest of them. And the like 7th one I can't find for less than like $200. That is ridiculous. So I need to collect the series before I reread and then dive back in because I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. It's like a Victorian kind of romance story between a maid and like a gentleman. And I really enjoyed the first one. I think I want to pick them all up before I start, so I just need to start collecting these again, and maybe eBay will have them cheaper. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Next one is the Mistwick series, and the first one is like the Mistwick School of Magic and Music Craft or something like that. It was like a random audiobook I found on Audible, picked it up, really enjoyed it, liked the magic system, found out there's actually a second one that's out, so I need to read this one at some point. I really enjoyed the first one, so this could be like a fun audiobook I could just pick up here and there. The next one is the Magic Misfits series by Neil Patrick Harris. I have and I've only read the first one. There are 4 in this series, and I loved the first one. I thought it was so much fun, but I just need to pick up the rest of them, and I just haven't. So yeah, that's another one that I need to continue. I've only read the first one of. That's a theme here. The next one is the Song Below Water series, or well, duology at this point, by Bethany C. Morrow. I've read the first one. I have not picked up the second one yet. It did come out last year, but again, I haven't picked it up yet, but I need to, hopefully this year. We'll see. I need to be in the right mind. I am very excited to dive into it. I just need to and haven't yet. That is also a theme. The next one is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. I read the first one relatively soon after it came out and really, really adored it, but I haven't picked up the second one. That's been out for quite a few months because I'm afraid I need to dive into the first one again or find a review somewhere because I've forgotten a lot about the world and kind of what happened at the end of this. I'm only 1 book behind. The next one is the Pandava series. It used to be called the Pandava Quartet, I believe. This is the Arusha kind of series. I read the first 2. I need to read the next 3 because apparently there used to be 4, and then the author has decided to write a 5th one, which is why the series has changed from the quartet to just Pandava. So I need to read the last 3. The next one is the Percy Jackson series. I've read the first one, which was The Lightning Thief, a couple of years ago, I think, for one of the Believe-a-thon rounds. This is not a series I grew up reading. I know so many people love this series, and I know that, like, this is a lot of people's childhood favorites, and I really enjoyed the first one. I love the Greek mythology aspects of it. I just need to continue because I haven't made time for the rest in the series. I've only read the first one, but again, I really enjoyed it. I have nothing against the series. This was not one of the series I had growing up, so I need to read it now. The next is the Camelot Rising series, the first one being the Guinevere Deception, and the second one being the Camelot Betrayal. I do believe this is going to be a trilogy, because according to Goodreads, there's one more coming out this year. I felt iffy about the first one, but there were parts of it that I really, really enjoyed, so I picked up the second one, and I just haven't read it yet. I think I need to wait until the third one comes out, though, because I love Camelot, Arthurian legend, that kind of, you know, mythology, if you will, history, whatever you want to call it. I'm really interested in that. I just didn't make time for this, and it's been too long, so I need to refamiliarize myself with the first one. But I think I'm going to wait until the third one comes out before I do that, so then maybe I can, like, back-to-back read them and, like, knock out the series. The next one is the Saint Rosetta's Academy series. I've read the first one, which is Of Curses and Kisses, but I have not read the sequel, which is Of Princes and Promises. This is by Sandia Menon. I plan on reading this one this year, so I'm for sure gonna get to this one. There is more. I think there's at least one, if not two more planned in the series, but there are, I don't think at this point, any titles or dates. There's definitely not dates yet, but I don't think there's any titles for what's coming next either. But I really enjoy it. This is like private school, but each of them is based on some sort of fairy tale. The first one being Beauty and the Beast, the second one being The Frog Prince. So I'm excited to see where we go from here, but I'm only one behind as of right now, so I need to get to this one. The next one's a little weird, and that is the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies series. So it's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I read a few years ago, actually. I think one of my first years here on BookTube. It's ridiculous, but I loved it. And then a different author decided to make a prequel, which is this one, which is Dawn of the Dreadfuls, and then a kind of after, which is Dreadfully Ever After. So these both go along with this one. I just need to make time for them. And the very, very last series that I have to talk to you about today is actually a nonfiction series, which you don't usually have many of those, and that is the Night series by Elie Wiesel. So there are three. There's Night, Dawn, and Day. They're all quite short. I read Night when I was in, I think, 9th grade, maybe 10th grade. I was in high school, and I don't want to say I really enjoyed it because it's about the Holocaust from someone who lived through the Holocaust, specifically at Auschwitz, and he survived it. So the first one is his experience during Holocaust, or during like his time at Auschwitz. I'm not sure what the other two are about, but I do know it follows him, and I like the way he writes. I think he writes very beautifully and kind of keeps you captivated, which is this is the first nonfiction book that I read and was like captivated by and really, really enjoyed, because most nonfiction, especially growing up in like high school and college, it was because I was reading it for school, I didn't want to read it. So this is one of the first ones I really enjoyed. So I'd like to reread Night and then get to the other two as well, but it does follow his life. But that is it. Those are all of the series that, I'm sure I've forgotten some, but those are all the series that I can think of off the top of my head that I'm currently reading. I hope you enjoyed this very, very, very long video. I mean, I'm looking at my raw footage and it's ridiculous. So I hope I was able to cut it down. Anyway, sorry it's so long, but I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's any series on here that is like one of your favorites that I should probably bump up, especially this section here where like there's still some to go. I just haven't yet. So let me know which series I should bump up on my TBR. And leave the moon emoji, since we just talked about Night by Elie Wiesel, and that Night has moons or stars. Do some kind of astrological thing. But if you liked this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all of that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!